It was a night like any other on the open road. I just pulled a double shift, my rig rumbling along some lonely stretch of interstate cutting through the Midwest. The hum of the tires, the CB radio's occasional chatter, and the endless ribbon of black asphalt kept me company. The kind of night where the world feels empty and infinite, and the darkness outside the windshield presses in like a heavy blanket. Then I saw it. Out of the corner of my eye, something darted across the road. Fast, impossibly fast. My hands jerked the wheel slightly, but I caught myself, steadying the rig. My heart hammered in my chest. Maybe it was just a coyote or some stray dog. Happens all the time out here. But as my headlights swept across the roadside, I caught a glimpse of something that wasn't quite right. A figure stood there, motionless, just outside the edge of the light. Human-shaped, but wrong. It was tall, hunched, with limbs too long, and skin that looked pale and slick, like something pulled from the deep sea. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, and I swear, even from a distance, I could feel its eyes on me. I hit the accelerator, my 18-wheeler roaring like an angry beast as I barreled down the highway. Whatever it was, I wanted distance between us. But the road felt longer, like the exit that should have been up ahead wasn't coming. Then the CB crackled to life. "Breaker 19, you got your ears on?" The voice was thin, strained. I grabbed the mic. "Yeah, I'm here. What's up?" "You see it?" the voice asked. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled. "See what?" I asked, playing dumb. The voice on the other end sighed, low and defeated. "It doesn't matter. Just keep driving. Don't stop. Whatever you do, don't let it in." My stomach dropped. Before I could respond, the CB cut to static. I tightened my grip on the wheel, my palms slick with sweat. The miles crawled by. My rig felt heavier, the engine laboring as if something was dragging it down. I glanced in my side mirror. That's when I saw it again, running. No sprinting. On all fours, it kept pace with the truck like it weighed nothing at all. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, as if its joints didn't work the way they should. I floored it, pushing the engine harder than I should have. The beast disappeared from the mirror, and I dared to hope I'd left it behind. That's when the knocking started. 3 solid thuds. From the passenger side of the cab. It shouldn't have been possible. Nothing could have climbed up there at that speed. But when I glanced over, there it was. Its face, or what should have been a face, pressed against the glass. It didn't have eyes, just 2 empty sockets that seemed to bore straight into my soul. Its mouth stretched into a grotesque grin, rows of jagged teeth glinting in the dim light from the dash. I swerved, trying to shake it loose, but it held on, its spindly fingers gripping the edge of the door like claws. The knocking turned into a screeching scrape as it dragged one of its hands across the window, leaving long, deep scratches in the glass. The CB crackled again. "Don't look at it," the voice from before warned. "Don't slow down. And for God's sake, don't stop." I forced my eyes back to the road. The creature's distorted reflection danced in the corner of my vision, but I kept my gaze fixed straight ahead. Then it started speaking. "Let me in," it hissed, the words a whisper at first, barely audible over the roar of the engine. "You're tired, aren't you? Just pull over. Rest." Its voice was soft, almost comforting, like the gentle coaxing of a trusted friend. But there was something wrong in it, something hollow and cruel. I turned up the radio, letting the country music blare as loud as it could go, drowning out the creature's whispers. The thing on the door let out a high-pitched scream, a sound that set my teeth on edge. Then it was gone. Just like that, as if it had never been there. The scratches on the glass were the only proof it had ever existed. The CB crackled one last time. "You made it. Exits up ahead. Get off the highway and don't look back." Sure enough, the glow of an exit sign appeared in the distance. My shoulders sagged in relief as I took the off-ramp, the tension in my chest easing with each mile that passed. I pulled into a truck stop, parked my rig, and sat there for a long moment, letting the silence wash over me. I never heard from the voice on the CB again, but I've stayed off that stretch of highway ever since. And I always check my mirrors before I stop for the night. I didn't sleep much that night, even with the truck stop buzzing around me. Other rigs pulling in, the faint hum of distant conversation, the fluorescent lights overhead. I felt like I was being watched. Every shadow seemed to shift. Every noise prickled the edge of my nerves. I grabbed a cup of coffee from the diner and parked myself at the counter, hoping the caffeine would calm my shaking hands. The waitress, a tired woman with a name tag that said, Darlene, must have seen the look on my face. She poured me a second cup before I'd even touched the first. "Rough night?" she asked, her voice kind but cautious. Yeah, you could say that. I wanted to tell her everything, the thing on the road, the voice on the CB. But I didn't. I've been a trucker long enough to know what happens when you start spouting crazy stories. You end up with a reputation, or worse, out of a job. Instead, I just nodded and muttered, "Highway plays tricks on you sometimes." She gave me a knowing look, like she'd heard that line before. Well, you keep your eyes open out there. Lot of strange things happen on these roads at night. That struck me, the way she said it like she knew something. Before I could press her for details, the bell above the diner door jingled, and a man in a trucker cap shuffled in. Darlene left me to serve him, and I finished my coffee in silence. When I got back to my rig, I noticed something odd. The scratches on the passenger side window, the ones the creature had left, were gone. At first, I thought maybe I'd imagined them in the panic of the night before, but then I spotted something else. On the edge of the door, where the creature's fingers had gripped, were faint marks. Not scratches, not dirt. Burns. Like the metal had been scorched. I ran my hand over them, the surface cool and smooth, but the discoloration was undeniable. I climbed into the cab and started the engine, telling myself it didn't matter. The road was calling and I had a delivery to make. Whatever had happened last night, it was over, or so I thought. The next few hours were uneventful. The sun rose, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, and I felt the tension in my chest ease. Daylight has a way of making you feel safe, even when you know better. I was about halfway to my destination when I noticed something strange. My GPS started glitching. First, it froze, then it recalculated, sending me on a route that didn't make any sense. It wanted me to turn off the main road onto some backcountry highway that wasn't even on my map. I ignored it, but the GPS voice kept chiming in. Recalculating. Turn left in 2 miles. Turn left. Then the CB crackled. Turn left, a voice said. Not the thin, strained one from the night before. This voice was deeper, harsher, and it sent a shiver down my spine. I turned the CB off, but the voice didn't stop. Came through the speakers, distorted and mechanical. Turn left, turn left, turn left. I grabbed the GPS and yanked it from the dashboard, throwing it onto the passenger seat. The voice stopped, and the cab went silent. But up ahead, I saw the turn it had been directing me toward. A narrow, overgrown road that disappeared into the woods. For a split second, I felt an almost irresistible urge to take it. My hands twitched on the wheel, my foot hovered over the brake. But I fought it, keeping my eyes fixed on the main road. As I passed the turn, my rearview mirror caught something moving in the trees. Something tall and pale, running alongside the truck. My heart leapt into my throat. It was back. I slammed the accelerator, the rig groaning as I pushed it harder than I should have. The thing in the woods kept pace, its movements erratic and unnerving. Then it stopped abruptly, fading into the shadows. I thought I was safe, but a mile down the road, the CB crackled again. This time, the thin, strained voice from the night before came through. You didn't turn, it said, a hint of panic in its tone. It's not gonna like that. What's not gonna like that? I shouted into the dead mic, even though I knew there was no one on the other end. The voice didn't answer. Instead, the static grew louder, filling the cab with an oppressive, grating noise that made my ears ring. And beneath it, faintly, I could hear something else. A growl. Deep, guttural, and growing closer. I glanced in the mirror. The road behind me was empty, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was there, chasing me just out of sight. The static cut out abruptly, leaving a deafening silence in its wake. That's when I saw the sign up ahead. Rest area, 2 miles. I didn't want to stop, but my nerves were shot, and I needed a moment to collect myself. Maybe there'd be other truckers there, safety in numbers. Maybe this thing wouldn't follow me. I pulled into the rest area, parking near the lights. There were a few other rigs, their drivers nowhere to be seen. I climbed down from the cab, the cool air biting at my skin, and made my way to the restroom. As I washed my face, the silence pressed in around me. No voices, no footsteps, not even the hum of the highway, just the sound of water running and my own ragged breathing. When I looked up into the mirror, I froze. Behind me, in the reflection, the stall doors were slowly swinging open, one by one. I stood there, frozen, watching the stall doors swing open in the mirror. One after another, they creaked slowly, deliberately, until every door stood ajar. The restroom felt impossibly silent, as if the world outside had been sucked into a vacuum. Then I saw it. In the mirror, past the last stall, something shifted. A shadow, no, a figure, pale and long-limbed, hunched unnaturally low. It didn't move like a person. Its limbs bent in ways they shouldn't, and its head tilted at an unnatural angle, almost as if it were studying me. My body screamed to run, but my legs refused to move. The creature stepped forward, and the sound of its bare feet against the tiled floor broke the silence like gunfire. It was wet, its skin glistening under the flickering fluorescent lights. Each step it took felt like a countdown to something inevitable. "Don't turn around," I whispered to myself. My voice was barely audible even to my own ears. The figure moved closer, its reflection growing larger in the mirror. I could hear its breathing now, shallow, wet gasps, like it was inhaling water instead of air. The stall doors rattled lightly as it passed them, one by one. I reached for the sink, gripping the edge so hard my knuckles went white. My eyes were locked on the mirror, unable to look away, even though every instinct begged me to run. Then, just as it reached the edge of the last stall, it stopped. Its head snapped upward, and for the first time, I saw its face, or what was left of it. The sockets where eyes should have been were hollow, dark pits, and its mouth stretched unnaturally wide, filled with jagged, yellow teeth. It smiled at me, not a human smile. This was a predator's grin, mocking, hungry, cruel. Then it spoke. "You didn't turn," it said. Its voice layered, like 100 whispers woven together. "You broke the rule." I don't know what happened next. One moment, I was staring into that monstrous grin, and the next, the mirror shattered, shards of glass flying toward me like 1,000 tiny daggers. I ducked instinctively, and when I looked up, the figure was gone. But I wasn't alone. Behind me, the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps echoed in the restroom. They were heavy now, wet, like something dragging itself across the floor. I turned my head slightly, just enough to glimpse the edge of the shadow stretching across the tiles. The lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat. When they came back on, the shadow was gone. I bolted. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I burst out of the restroom and sprinted for my rig, my boots pounding against the asphalt. The air felt thicker now, harder to breathe, like the world itself was pressing down on me. I climbed into the cab, locking the door behind me, and fired up the engine. The rig roared to life, and I peeled out of the rest area, tires screeching. The highway stretched out before me, a lifeline in the night. But the farther I drove, the more wrong everything felt. The sky was darker than it should have been, the stars barely visible. The road seemed endless, the mile markers repeating themselves. Then the CB crackled. "Breaker 19. The thin voice from before came through, weak and desperate. "You need to listen. You can't outrun it. It's already inside." I stared at the radio, dread pooling in my stomach. "What do you mean, it's inside?" I shouted, my voice cracking. The voice didn't answer. Instead, I heard something else. A low, guttural growl, coming from the sleeper cab behind me. My blood turned to ice. Slowly, I reached over and grabbed the tire iron I kept under the seat. My hands trembled as I turned to look over my shoulder. The sleeper cab was dark, the curtain swaying slightly as if something had brushed against it. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst. "Show yourself," I yelled, raising the tire iron. The curtain was yanked open. For a moment, I saw nothing but shadows. Then, from the darkness it emerged. The thing from the road. Its hollow eyes glowed faintly, and its grin stretched impossibly wide. It moved toward me, slowly, deliberately, savoring the moment. I swung the tire iron, but it passed through the creature as if it were made of smoke. It laughed, a horrible, choking sound that filled the cab. "You can't fight it," the voice from the CB said again. "You can only make a choice." "What choice?" I screamed, panic surging through me. "Turn," the voice said, barely audible over the creature's laughter. "Or let it take you." The creature lunged. Instinct took over. I jerked the wheel hard, the rig veering off the road. The tires skidded on gravel, and I fought to keep control as the truck barreled down a narrow dirt path. I don't know how long I drove. Minutes? Hours? The trees blurred past, and the air felt heavier, colder. But eventually, the path opened up into a clearing, and the creature was gone. I stopped the rig, my chest heaving with every ragged breath. The CB crackled one last time. "You made the right choice," the voice said. "For now." The signal went dead. I don't drive that route anymore. I avoid back roads, rest areas, and anything that feels even slightly off. But sometimes, when I'm out on the open road late at night, I hear it. The static on the CB, the faint whisper of a voice, and I wonder if it's still out there, waiting for me to make another wrong turn.